14-year-old freshman, Colt Gray, opened fire, killing 4 and injuring 9 others.
It was like 10 shots, about a 3-second or 4-second pause, and then like 7 more.
According to investigators, Gray carried an AR-15 style rifle onto a school bus that morning, the barrel sticking out of his backpack wrapped in poster board. 4 people would lose their lives that day, 14-year-old students, Mason Schermerhorn and Christian Angelou, 53-year-old math teacher, Christina Arimi, and 39-year-old football coach, Ricky Aspinwall. Colt Gray has been indicted on 55 felony counts, including 25 counts of aggravated assault. He is not the only one facing charges in this tragedy. Colt's father, Colin Gray, faces charges of second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. Prosecutors say Colin admitted to buying the rifle that his son used in the mass shooting and did so knowing that the teen was a danger to himself and others. Deputies interviewed the Grays about a year before the shooting, based on FBI tips about alleged threats posted on the online platform Discord.
I don't know anything about him saying like that, and I'm going to be mad as hell if he did. And then all the guns will go away, and they won't be accessible.
His father, Colin, has been granted a change of venue in his case. If he's found guilty of murder, he could face up to 180 years in prison.
True crime just got darker. Catch the full episode on the link above. Subscribe to At Southern Sin today and hit the notification bell for more live original episodes Wednesdays at 8 p.m.
And then Brooks, you can bring him in and put him in that new chair.
Oh, okay.
You can put him in that chair. Good morning. Good morning. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, jury is not feeling well. We're masking today. Giving him instructions to advise me if he starts. He does not have a fever presently. Giving instructions when he starts feeling worse as the day goes on. We're going to keep him in another jury room during lunch and during breaks. Just go ahead and isolate things today. We disinfected while y'all were still in there. We disinfected the area where he was sitting and the railing there. They're going in to go ahead and disinfect your jury room presently, just so you're aware. Okay. Anybody have any questions or concerns? All right. Thank you. All right. State calls next witness.
The state calls investigator Ashley Gilliland. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do.
Go ahead and introduce yourself to the jury and then spell your last name for the court reporter.
Yes, my name is Ashley Gilland, Ashley Gilleland.
And where are you employed?
I work for the Barrow County District Attorney's Office.
And how long have you worked for the Barrow County District Attorney's Office?
A little over 6 years.
What are your job responsibilities at the Barrow County DA's office?
So I'm a post-certified investigator. My role is essentially when the cases come into our office to help prepare them for court hearings and or trials. That can range anywhere from locating, interviewing witnesses, victims, obtaining search warrants for any kind of evidence that's needed in the case, as well as analyzing that evidence and then creating a summary that makes it easier to understand.
So essentially, when a case comes to the DA's office, do you continue the investigation?
I do.
Prior to working for the district attorney's office, where did you work?
I worked for the Hall County Sheriff's Office.
And what were your job responsibilities there?
I was an investigator in the persons crime division, so any kind of crime that involved a person as a victim.
And when you just testified about your job responsibilities, you mentioned that one of those is to collect additional evidence. And does that include digital evidence?
It does.
What kind of digital evidence do you collect and review while at the DA's office?
Typically, any kind of cell phone extractions, computer extractions, social media records, location data, surveillance video.
And how often do you review cell phone extractions?
Almost every day.
And what is the purpose of reviewing those cell phone extractions?
To kind of gather any kind of information that's on the extraction related to the case.
How often do you compile a summary of cell phone extraction data?
It's really case dependent and also depending on the amount of evidence, amount of digital evidence in a case. But I would say probably fairly regularly.
And what does that generally entail?
I usually start with a timeline of events surrounding the incident date. And then again, depending on the amount of digital evidence, if it comes from cell phone extractions, computers, social media accounts, I will then take all that information and put it into a summary, usually in a PowerPoint form, just to make it easier to digest.
And in addition to doing cell phone extraction, data review, do you also attempt to collect Google records?
I do.
And tell us what kind of records do you try to get from Google?
So Google obviously collects and stores a ridiculous amount of information. And Google will require you to be very specific in what you ask for. But Google can provide anything from emails, search history, web history, location data, historic location data, the devices that are associated with a Google account. Google also now has Ring doorbell cameras, Google Nest, Google Docs, Google Photos, Google Meet, Google Chats. Again, it has a lot of information.
And you mentioned location data. What do you mean by location data?
Anything with a latitude and longitude can be mapped. It comes in from many different sources. So the one you think about mainly is cellular records. So your T-Mobile, your AT&T, your Verizon records, those provide location data. Social media records can provide location data when you log in and out of Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook. That can provide location data. Your cell phone as a whole can have GPS, Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, and then as well as any kind of digital media can also provide location data.
And have you had any specialized training in working with cell phone extractions?
I have.
Can you tell us about that?
So we use a company or a program called Cellbrite to do not only our extractions, but our analysis of the evidence. And then within that company, they provide numerous amounts of trainings. So I've had anything from mapping forensic artifacts, searching for digital footprints, forensic techniques for investigators, recreating user activities, search warrants and digital evidence, just to name a few.
And do you have any specialized training in Google records or mapping location data?
For Google records, since there is so much data that can be obtained from Google, they do provide specialized training. There's a previous member from the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force that puts on a training for Google and Apple records specifically. And so I've taken training with that.
And what about with mapping of location data?
There are a couple different programs out there that we use to map location data. The one that we started with when I started at the Barrow County District Attorney's Office was known as CellHawk. So CellHawk provided training in order to how to use the program itself, what types of records were able to be uploaded, how to analyze those records. We've also moved to a new company, I guess you could say, to map the records called Accurate Tracks. It's through LexisNexis. And I did take a 40-hour course on that, learning how to use that program.
And do you hold any certifications related to digital forensic analysis?
I do. I am a member of the ICAC task force, which is the Internet Crimes Against Children, focuses on child exploitation and child pornography. And then I also am certified cybercrime examiner.
Have you previously testified as an expert in the field of digital forensic analysis?
I have,
Approximately how many times?
3 times.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to qualify Investigator Goland as an expert in digital forensic analysis.
No objection.
All right, should we start?
Thank you, Your Honor. Were you assigned to aid in the investigation of the case involving the Apalachee school shooting?
I was.
And how did you become involved in that?
Initially, just from the start, I was in more of an assisting role. So the lead agencies being the Barrow County Sheriff's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation were on the front end. And then my role was more as the evidence kept coming in to start analyzing that evidence and seeing if there was anything additional that we may need.
And did you do additional search warrants to get additional evidence?
I did.
Did you also, and we'll get more into this in a minute, create a summary of the evidence that you reviewed?
I did.
Okay, let's start with the additional records you obtained. What categories of records did you get?
I did get some financial records and then some online schooling records, as well as academy sports and outdoor records.
And as far as financial records, what financial records did you collect?
I did get the Wells Fargo bank records, and the academy sports and outdoor would be considered financial records.
What or whose records were the Wells Fargo bank records for?
They were for the defendant's bank account.
And based on your review of the financial records and the digital evidence, who used the bank account that was listed under Colin Gray?
It appeared to be the defendant.
Describe the time frame of those records.
We requested the time frame from November of 2022 until the incident date in September of 2024.
When you received those records, were they accompanied by a business record certification?
They were.
Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to go ahead and introduce into evidence State Exhibit 186, which are the Wells Fargo bank records for Colin Gray under the business records exception.
Who's these?
No
Okay.
objection.
All right. One, you said 186?
Yes, Your Honor.
Very good.
Okay, so I am going to pull up that record and, or not the entirety, but just kind of explain, how do we know this is Colin Gray's record?
So this is a cover sheet that we receive once we get bank records. So you see the Wells Fargo logo at the top on the last page. But then this, it says Wells Fargo, and it has the name on the account and the address associated with the account and the account number itself.
Okay. And then I'm going to pull up, what does this page show us?
This shows just like your everyday statement, your bank statement.
Okay. Zoom in a little bit. Can you tell us the columns that when we're reviewing the Wells Fargo records so the jury kind of understands it?
Yes, on the left-hand side is the date and that's the date that it posted to the account. Some transactions will take a couple days to post to your account. Check number, if a check was deposited, description of the purchase, and then the next column would be deposits and additions, and then the next one withdrawals and subtractions, and then your ending daily balance.
Okay. So you also mentioned you got academy records, and again, whose academy records did you get?
I got the academy records that match the debit card number on the Wells Fargo bank account.
And describe the time frame for those records.
Those were just for the year of 2024.
When you received those records, were they accompanied by a business record certification as well?
They were.
All right, this time I'd like to introduce into evidence State Exhibit 187, which are the academy records for Colin Gray's debit card.
No objection.
All right, 187 is admitted.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay. And then were other financial records obtained by another investigator in the DA's office?
Yes, ma'am.
And what were those?
Those were Amazon records
And whose Amazon records were those for?
for the defendant's account.
Okay. And I'm going to actually, we're going to go through Academy and Amazon real quick to kind of orient the jury. Tell us, these are what kind of records?
These are from Academy Sports and Outdoor. So this is what we get back when we write a search warrant for these records. And you'll see kind of the top left, the date and time. And then the middle at the top, the associate, the transaction amount. And then in the middle, you'll see the items that were purchased, the item price. And then at the bottom, you'll see debit card and the account number associated. And then at the very bottom of the page is the actual store that it was purchased from.
Okay. And then I'll pull up Amazon records and I'm going to zoom in and tell the jury about the Amazon records.
The Amazon records come back in a spreadsheet. So it's listed by the site it was from, which was obviously Amazon, the order date, the order time, the customer name, the item description, the price, the total that the buyer was charged, and the ship date.
Okay. And based on your review of the digital evidence as well as the Amazon records, who had access to this Amazon account?
The defendant.
And tell us how you know that.
Within a lot of the different records that I analyzed in this case, Colt Gray, the son of the defendant, would request the defendant to purchase items from Amazon. So he would send through text messages, will you buy this, that sort of thing.
Okay. And these, for the record, are State Exhibit 162. So did you also obtain some Google records?
I did.
Okay, and whose Google records did you obtain?
In this case, I obtained the defendant's as well as Marcy Gray's.
And what records, particular in the Google, were relevant to this case?
Email, search history, and web history.
What was the time frame of these records?
These were, again, just for the year of 2024.
And were these records also accompanied by a business record certification when you received them?
They were.
And you're right, this time I'd like to introduce into evidence State Exhibit 188 under the business records exception.
These Colin Gray or Marcy Gray?
These are of Colin Gray, correct?
That's correct.
Any objections, Mr. Hobbs?
Judge, we would ask for a standing objection based on our objections from yesterday, but other than that, no objection. Does that make sense?
I don't remember us addressing Google records.
They're not in the Google records, but I know the other ones are coming up, that we don't have to keep doing that.
Okay, but just so that I'm clear, your objections at some break from the jury or we addressed yesterday, I ruled on those, and you just want to preserve that objection.
Yes, sir.
All right, so,
Thank you, Judge.
So are they admitted, Your Honor?
188 is.
Thank you. All right, so I'm going to pull up a page from Google, again, just to orient the jury to what these records look like.
This portion of the Google records is from the web history. You'll see kind of like the top is the kind of the URL that's associated, says visited, which means that that was a particular URL that was actually accessed. And at the time, it shows the date and time as well.
Okay.
Let me get your thoughts. Just go ahead and approach. I just want to make sure that it's crystal clear. Just put on the record. All right, go ahead, Mr. President.
Thank you, Your Honor. All right, so I believe the last set of records you obtained were additional online school records. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And what was the purpose of getting those records?
There was a statement made in the evidence that I reviewed where the defendant had signed or enrolled his son in online schooling.
Okay. And what schools did you attempt to get records from?
I believe it was Georgia Connections and Georgia Virtual.
And okay, so on the school records notebook, we also have State Exhibit 189 and 190 in there. And are those the records for Georgia Connections and Georgia Virtual?
Yes.
Okay. And Your Honor, were they also accompanied by a business record certification?
They were.
All right, this time I'd like to introduce into evidence State Exhibit 189 and 190.
No objection.
And thank you, Your Honor. And we'll get into these a little more in a little bit, but just generally, was Colt ever enrolled in either of those schools?
No.
Okay. And did another investigator get the other online public school records in Georgia?
Yes, ma'am.
And then was that Georgia Cyber Academy?
It was.
Okay. And was Colt ever enrolled in that?
No, he was not.
Okay. All right. So let's move to the summary. You mentioned summarizing digital evidence. In this particular case, what form did that summary take?
A PowerPoint presentation.
And have you made a list, I guess, in the PowerPoint presentation of the digital evidence and other evidence that we're going to go through in this presentation?
I did.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up that summary. We're going to start with the first four. And this is essentially so every time we talk about evidence, we don't have to say the exhibit. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So are these the four different types of records we just talked about? Wells Fargo Bank records, Academy Sports records, Amazon purchase records, and defendants Google records.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And so those are all in this summary.
That's correct.
Okay. And then as far as Amazon purchase records, I'm showing you what's been marked as State Exhibits 211.1 to 211.5. What are those?
These are photographs from Amazon.
And are they, tell me how they are related to Amazon.
So with the Amazon records, they also produce what's called an Amazon standard identification number, which is kind of like a serial number or like a barcode you see when you're shopping for something at a store. And then so I took that number from the records and then put that into Amazon, and it would give me the exact photograph and item that was being purchased through the records.
And are these photos of items that were purchased by Colin Gray?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Your Honor, this time I'd like to introduce an evidence State Exhibits 211.1 through 211.5.
No objection.
Okay. And then the next set of records are the cell phone extractions. What data from the cell phone extractions are in the PowerPoint?
Anything from calls, text messages, photographs, web history, search history, application usage logs, I believe location data as well.
Okay. And I'm going to pull up a text conversation just so you can kind of show the jury how the texts populate on the summary. Can you tell us kind of what the green means and what the blue means?
Yeah, so when you do an extraction from Cellbrite, the program I was telling you about earlier, it will produce it in this manner. So it'll produce it in blue and green messages. And the green essentially will be the owner of the device, and the blue will be the recipient of the text.
Okay. And then did you also kind of create a phone key of the various members of the Gray family?
I did.
I'm going to show that now. So tell us about what this phone key shows and just kind of talk us through it.
Okay, so at the top, the name. So I have the categories name, phone number, contact name, and the defendant's phone, and then the dates the phone number was used. So the name on the first one is Colin Gray. This was the phone number that was associated with the records, and it was from March of 2024 until May 6th of 2024. The next one below that is also Colin Gray with a different phone number. This was a work phone number, and it started May 7th of 2024 until September 4th of 2024. The next one down is Marcy Gray. It is the same number as the one at the top. I know that seems confusing, but she used the phone once she was here in Barrow County. And so those dates are from July 6th, 2024 until August 16th of 2024. And it was listed in the defendant's phone as boo-boo/home. The one below that, again, Marcy Gray, this was the number that she used when she was in Fitzgerald from August 17th, 2024 to September 5th of 2024. And then we have Deborah Polhamus, which is the defendant's mother-in-law, and she's listed as Mamu. And then we have Jenny Gray, listed as Jenny Reen, March 22nd, 2024 through September 5th. And then Colt Gray, the first one being March 10th, 2024 to August 11th, 2024. And then the last one is a new phone number from August 11th, 2024 to September 2024.
Okay. All right, and then we have additional records that we're going through that are also going to be in this presentation. So you have listed enlightenment counseling records, which is State Exhibit 142, Discord records, State Exhibit 163, Mike's gun run records, State Exhibit 164, DNR gun range logs, which is State Exhibit 165, Georgia Cyber Academy, State Exhibit 166, CDR records from Verizon, State Exhibit 167, Georgia Connection records, State Exhibit 189, and then Georgia Virtual records, State Exhibit 190. And does that essentially show all the records that are included in this summary presentation?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. All right, so were the records you summarized voluminous?
Yes.
Okay, and kind of, I guess to illustrate for the jury how much information is in each cell phone extraction, can you kind of give us an illustration?
So there's a lot of information in each of the cell phone extractions, as you said. For example, one phone extraction, if we were to print it out, in this case, was a little over 39,000 pages. So just for like I guess a visual, the 3-ring binders that we have up here, this one's the largest one, which is 3 inches, and it holds approximately 500 pages. So if we were to print out one phone extraction, it would be about 78 binders. So a lot of information.
So is that essentially impossible to print out everything?
Without killing a bunch of trees, yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so because of the voluminous amount of this information, will a summary of this information assist the jury?
Yes.
Okay. And how is the PowerPoint organized?
It's chronologically by date.
Okay. And kind of tell us how the jury can see what date we're talking about. I mean, obviously we'll say it, but just if they need to reorient themselves to the date.
Yes, on each slide, in the top left-hand corner will be a blue circle, and that will be the date that we're talking about. So if we're talking for a long time and a date's not being remembered, then it's on the top left-hand corner of the PowerPoint.
Okay. And the PowerPoint that you have created, is it digitally on this hard drive?
It is.
Your Honor, at this time I'd like to introduce into evidence State Exhibit 191 as a summary of the evidence.
No objection.
All right, 191's admitted.
Okay, so let's, before we present the PowerPoint, I want to go through some basic kind of background information. What's the time frame for the PowerPoint presentation?
Overall, I started with November of 2023. And that was because this was the first month in which the defendant had custody of all 3 of his children.
Okay. And then there, in the presentation, I know we talked about the text bubbles. Are there also some timeline extractions that we display?
There are.
Can you kind of tell the jury what that is?
So a timeline extraction is produced again by Cellbrite. And what it is kind of a date of each one phone extraction. So one binder is from one phone extraction. So one binder will be the defendant's phone extraction, one binder will be Marcy Gray's, one binder will be Colt Gray's, and one binder will be Jenny Gray's. Within that binder, it's by date according to the PowerPoint. And so the timeline extraction is for each of those dates and what's all included in those dates as a whole.
And when you do a timeline extraction, and it includes, text messages, call logs, web searches, are some things duplicated on the timeline extraction?
They can be, yes.
And why would that be?
The phone extraction will pull from different sources. So it can pull from the surface part of the phone if it's a phone call, and then in the file system, like deeply hidden, it can pull from that as well. So you might see it duplicated.
And I want to talk briefly about the times that are displayed on the records. I'm going to look back, show you the Amazon records, and tell us what time frame this is in.
So where it says order time, the first one says 19:51 and 5 seconds, UTC. So UTC stands for Universal Time Coordinated, and it's just kind of the generic time that is used to regulate the clocks all around the world. We here are in Eastern Standard Time, so when we have to go through all these records that are produced in UTC, we also have to convert them to Eastern Standard Time.
And for the majority of the records, are they in Eastern Standard Time in the presentation?
They are, yes, they're converted.
And what would it look like to show that they're in Eastern Standard Time when you see that UTC on the time?
So in order to convert them, Eastern Standard Time is 5 hours behind UTC in the winter months, and then 4 hours behind in the summer months. So in this, you will see UTC -5 or UTC -4, which means the records have been converted and those are in Eastern Standard Time.
And anytime you refer to a time, are you going to refer to it in Eastern Standard Time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and publish the PowerPoint. Now, I know you mentioned that you started in November. We talked a little bit about May of 2023 first?
Yes.
And what happened generally in May of 2023?
This was when an FBI tip came to the Jackson County Sheriff's Office in reference to a potential threat of school shooting. And the Jackson County investigators went out to the defendant's home to speak with him.
Okay. Now, based on the phone key that we just saw, is it accurate that we don't have any phone extraction data from this time frame?
That's correct.
Okay. So we can't see any text messages or phone calls that were happening around this time.
That's correct.
Okay. During your review, did you find a text message related to this investigation?
I did.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and show that. And who is this text from and to, and tell me the time of the text.
So this is from, it's the number ending in 8572. It says me, which is the owner of the phone, which would be Marcy Gray at this time. And then to the number ending in 2768, Coley Jr. And this would have been the defendant at this time as his phone had already been taken.
Okay. And what did Marcy say to the defendant?
What the heck is this? I keep reading that the FBI investigated Colt last May about making online threats about a school shooting. It says they talked to you too. And this was September 5th at 12:12 p.m.
Okay. And the attachment I'll pull that up, but what generally is that?
An article, a news article,
Or the
FBI tip.
okay. And that was released around this time?
It was.
Okay. And and you've reviewed the statements from the defendant as well in preparing your summary presentation?
I have.
Investigator Smith interview with the defendant was around 3:30 on September 5th. Was this sent to him before that interview?
It was.
Okay. All right. So we are now moving to November of 2023. Tell us what's important or relevant from this month.
This is when the purchase of the 6R rifle
And by
that was used.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
That was used in the shooting of Apalachee.
Okay. And I will pull up these records. And again, which records are these?
These are the Wells Fargo bank records from the defendant's account.
Okay. I'm going to pull up November 13th, one of the transactions on the defendant's Wells Fargo records. Can you tell me what that transaction is?
It's a purchase authorized on November 11th from Mike's Gun Room in Winder for $350.
Okay. And what is Mike's Gun Room?
It's just a local gun shop here in Winder that sells firearms, ammunition, and firearms related accessories.
And what kind of records do they keep?
They keep the records when a firearm is purchased, and that's a form that's used by the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Bureau.
So if something other than a firearm is purchased, do they have any records to that effect?
They do not.
Okay. And so for November 13th, that was authorized on November 11th. Do we know specifically what was purchased?
We do not.
On this date. Is $350, would that be consistent with the down payment of a 6-hour rifle?
It could be, yes.
Okay. Now moving to our next transaction from November 17th, tell us what that shows us.
This is a purchase authorized November 17th from Mike's Gun Room in Winder for $559.50.
And then is the total between $559 and $350, would that be consistent with the price of a 6-hour rifle?
Yes.
Now, were you able to obtain information about what was purchased on November 17th?
Yes.
And what did you obtain?
This also included the form that I spoke about from the ATF, which is a legal record when you transfer a firearm.
Okay. And we're going to display that firearms transaction form. Okay, and then we're going to zoom in kind of on the top and the bottom. All right, so what does this form tell us? And kind of explain it through the record there.
As an overall, it gives the what type of weapon it is, the model, the serial number, the type, the caliber, how many are being transferred on this particular date, and also the buyer's full name and address is also included, and then a signature and a date at the bottom of the page.
Okay, and then who bought this firearm and what was the date?
Colin Gray, the defendant, November 17th of 2023.
Okay. And then as far as the serial number, were you able to compare that to the serial number of the gun used in the Apalachee shooting?
I was.
Okay. And I'm going to show that. Okay. And is that picture that is displayed below there, is that one of the crime scene photos from the Apalachee High School?
It is.
Okay. And what evidence number is that?
111.141.
Okay. And when you're looking at the serial number on the gun that was obtained from Apalachee, as well as the one from the financial transaction or the firearms transaction record, are they the same?
They are the same.
Okay. And let me go back real quick to the actual record. So sorry, this has a address on it of 954 River Mill Circle. Based on your review of the evidence, where was the defendant living on November 17th of 2023?
At 896 Harrison Mill in Bethlehem.
And have you had an opportunity to also get the lease from that address?
I did, yes.
Okay. And what time frame did the defendant move based on that lease?
I believe it was June 22nd of 2023.
Okay. All right. So we are going to have a couple more questions about the firearms transaction record. On that, does it list a particular law?
It does.
And what law is that?
It's the Gun Control Act.
And what is the Gun Control Act? What type of law is that?
It just regulates who can purchase a firearm based on different things.
And what age do you have to be under the Gun Control Act to purchase a firearm?
For rifles, it's 18 years old, and for handguns, it's 21 years old.
And what age do you have to be to purchase ammunition?
It's the same for ammunition, 18 for rifles and 21 for handguns.
And under that same act, are you allowed to purchase a firearm for someone else, or do you have to purchase it for yourself?
You have to purchase it for yourself.
And was that one of the questions that was listed on this form?
It is on this page 21A, and it's checked yes.
Okay. And does that mean it was indicating that Mr. Gray purchased it for himself?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. So now we're going to move to December of 2023. So this is a month after the purchase of the Sig Sauer rifle. What generally happened this month?
There were some more gun-related purchases.
Okay. And what records do we have that show those?
From Wells Fargo.
Okay. And I'm going to pull up our next record. All right, so tell us what was purchased on this day.
On December 14th, there was a purchase from Mike's Gun Room in Winder for $642 even.
And based on your review of the records that we received from Mike's Gun Room, do you know specifically what was purchased?
I do not.
So it was, does that mean it was not a firearm?
That's correct.
So some other gun-related accessory?
That's correct.
Okay. And so then the next purchase that we're going to talk about is from Amazon. So I'm going to go ahead and move to that. And that's going to be from December 19th, which is 5 days later. Tell us what was purchased from Amazon on December 19th.
It was a green laser for a rifle for $49.99.
Okay. And would that be like a laser sight?
That's correct.
And that states exhibit 211.1 that is on the left. What is that?
That's one of the photographs I talked about earlier coming from Amazon with the Amazon standard identification number. So that was put in to Amazon, and that's the photograph that it produced.
Okay. And then, so that's essentially what the irons or the green laser sight looks like.
That's correct.
What about the picture to the right?
This photograph was on Colt's cell phone extraction.
And is that a picture of him using a light that would be, or a laser that would be consistent with the one that was purchased that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Right, now we're going to move to January of 2024. And tell us generally what happened this month.
There were some school-related emails.
And who was the school-related email to and from?
It was to the defendant, Jenny Gray and Colt Gray, and from Lorraine.
And who is Lorraine?
It is the defendant's sister.
And when did she send this email?
I believe the first one was January 25th of 2024.
And where did the email come from?
From the Google records.
Okay, we're going to pull up that email. All right, so can you tell us, you said it was January 25th, what time the email was sent and what it says?
Yes, so the subject is school options and information. from Lorene O'Brien, the date January 25th, 2024 at 7:13. And then the two, Gray Coley 444 at Gmail, which is the defendant's email address. And then another email address that was associated with Colt Gray's email, and then Jenny Gray's email address.
Okay, and so is Colt Gray's email the Q0TLC3?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And what did the email say?
It says, "Hi, Coley and Colt and Jenny. I hope you're all doing well. Here are the 3 school options and info about each that I learned about. Open attached Excel. I'm still trying to locate the one form I mentioned in the Excel, the release of information form in virtual school section of Excel. Just want to send this email before it got much later tonight. Once I locate that form, I will send in another email. Let me know how else I can help. Love you all. Ring."
And then, I guess, did the defendant ever forward this email to anyone?
He forwarded it to Jenny.
Now, at the time of this email, was Coley already enrolled in school?
Yes, he was.
And what was his first day?
His first day was January 16th of 2024.
And so, but Jenny and Colt were not enrolled in school. Is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. She mentions an Excel spreadsheet. Was that also provided by Google?
It was.
Okay. And what generally does the spreadsheet show?
It shows the 3 options that she talks about in the body of the email.
Okay. I'm going to pull up that spreadsheet. We're going to zoom in on the first one. Okay, so what is the first option?
The first option is attend regular in-person school.
And does it tell the defendant who to contact?
It does. It says register Colt and Jenny, and then contact Michelle Principe, which is the registrar at Heyman Morris, with her email and phone number and fax number.
Okay. And then based on your review of the records, is this prior to the defendant contacting the school about registering Colt and Jenny?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So we'll move to the second option, which is attend virtual school. Can you tell us what that says?
Yes, so it says they must be fully registered at Heyman Morris, and then kind of steps to do next, download, complete the release of information form and email, mail, fax to virtual school people. This gives them permission to speak with Heyman or Michelle to get confirmation that the kids are fully registered at regular school first, records, immunization, etc. And then it talks about the next step is already done, which is setting up accounts for them on the virtual school website.
And when you did records for, was it Georgia Virtual?
It was.
Did they have an account that was set up by Lorene?
They did.
Okay. In terms of, though, then actually enrolling in any classes using that account, did they ever enroll in any classes?
They did not.
Okay. Now moving to the final option, what is that?
Do homeschool using an online curriculum. So must complete and submit this online form to the Georgia Department of Education to inform them the kids are doing homeschool with a link to the website, and then must be resubmitted each school year.
And based on your review of the school records, was a homeschool form ever filled out?
No.
Okay. And then we'll talk about that last little part. What does it say?
This will cost a total of $67.92 per month, and I'm offering to pay for it.
And based on your review of the records, did Jenny actually enroll in Heyman Morris?
She did.
And did Colt?
He did not.
Okay. Now we're going to move to the next month. So we're moving from January to February of 2024. And kind of what did you find relevant from this month?
There was a gun range visit in the month of February 2024.
Okay. And where was that gun range visit?
The Wilson Shoals gun range.
I'm going to pull up. Were these some of the records that were obtained in investigating this case?
Yes, these are the DNR records.
Okay. So does DNR, are they the ones who maintain the gun range records?
They do.
Okay. And this is from February 29th?
It is.
Okay. I'm going to pull up. We're going to zoom in. Can you tell us what the top kind of row tells us? Like in terms of, it says check all that apply for your visit.
Yes, so there's the time of check-in, the name, and then check all that apply for your visit, depending on what type of firearm that you're bringing to the gun range. So what's listed is rifle, handgun, shotgun, muzzle loader.
Okay, and then who went there that day, and then what did they use?
Colin Gray, Colt Gray, and Jenny Gray, and all three of them have rifle and handgun checked.
And then now we're going to move to March of 2024. Can you tell us kind of generally what happened this month?
There was another gun range visit and some more gun-related purchases.
And for our first record that we're going to bring up from Academy, do you know what Academy store this item was purchased from?
I believe this one was in Athens.
And was the defendant working in Athens at the time?
He was.
Okay. So we're going to bring up that purchase record. What date is it from?
March 8th of 2024.
And what was purchased?
A Sight Mark Ultra Shot RSP.
Okay. Is that a kind of a different laser sight?
It is. It's kind of used for target acquisition for a firearm.
And how much did that cost?
$149.99.
All right. And then now we're going to, and was this, I guess, was a box that was consistent with this laser sight found at the defendant's residence?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to pull up that. Okay, tell us what evidence numbers these are. These have been previously introduced from the crime scene photos of the defendant's house.
Yes, the one on the left is 145.108, and then the one on the right is 145.109, which is a more close-up version of the one on the left. And these were found in Colt Gray's closet.
All right, and then I want to pull up the firearm. And based on your kind of review of the evidence and examining the gun, is the sight mark that was purchased on March 8th consistent with the one that was on the firearm used in the Apalachee shooting?
It is.
Okay. And what did the defendant purchase next?
There was another purchase from Academy Sports on March 28th.
Okay, and we'll bring up that record. And what was purchased that day?
This is a XTS 1-point bungee sling.
And what is a bungee sling?
It's just used for a rifle to have a better point of contact.
And was a bungee sling consistent with this type of sling found in the defendant's residence?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to pull up a picture, another picture from the search warrant. Where was that found?
This was also found in Colt's closet.
And is the kind of brand name XTS on that bungee sling?
It is.
Okay. And then was there another purchase from Academy Sports that same day?
There was.
Okay, we're going to bring that up. And what was also purchased that day?
Hornady Custom 223 REM 55, which is ammunition.
And based on the description, how many rounds were in that box?
I believe it's a 20-round box.
And is 223 ammunition, is that able to be used in the 6-hour rifle?
Yes.
All right, so now we're going to move to the next day, which would be March 29th. Can you tell us what happened on March 29th?
Yes, there was another gun range visit, and this was on Jenny's cell phone extraction.
And where, based on the pictures, where was this gun range?
It appears to be Wilson Shoals gun range.
Was there a record of it?
There was not.
Okay. And the firearm that Colt is using in that picture, is that consistent with the 6-hour that was used in the shooting?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And is that a photo of that firearm?
It is.
Okay. March 29th, what day of the week was that?
It was a Friday.
And was school in session?
It was.
And then, so was this during, I guess, based on the pictures, was this during the day,
It did appear
during
so.
the school day?
Yes.
Going back to the previous visit, which was what, February 29th,
It was the 29th.
was that, what day of the week was that?
It was also a Friday.
And was that school also in session that
It
day?
was.
And did they go during the school day?
They did. I believe the time was 10:25 a.m. on that record.
All right. So next, we're going to move to March 30th. Did something happen that day?
There was a text message.
And we're going to pull up that text message. And can you tell us who the text message was from and who it was to?
It's from the defendant and it's sent to Jenny.
Okay. And what time was that text message sent?
It's at 8:49 p.m.
And what does the text message say?
Asking for you to please keep this private between you and me. What is going on with Colt? I can't tell what he's saying, but I can tell it's not good. I will not say anything, I promise.
And so again, this is the day after the gun range visit.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, now we're going to move to April of 2024. And tell us what generally happened this day.
There were some more gun-related purchases and then some evidence suggesting Colt's behavior.
Okay. So the first day we're going to talk about is April 1st. What generally happened that day?
This was when Colt's grandmother took him shopping.
And do you know where they went shopping based on the pictures?
To Academy.
I'm going to show you, bring up a text. Okay, who is this text to?
It's to the defendant from Jenny.
And what time was the text sent?
It was 12:41 p.m.
All right, now I'm going to pull up. Is that the picture that was attached?
It is.
And who are those people?
That is Colt Gray on the left and Deborah Polhamus on the right.
All right, and then we're going to zoom in to what Colt is holding. And what is he holding?
There are 4 packages in his hand. All are magazines.
Based on your review of the crime scene photos and the evidence, was one of those magazines found at Apalachee on September 4th?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to pull up a picture from the crime scene photos, 111.131. Is that one of the magazines, or is that consistent with one of the magazines that was purchased on April 1st?
It's consistent, yes.
All right, and then did the defendant respond to these text messages from Jenny?
He did.
Okay, so I'm going to pull up that response. And what does he say?
He says the best at 1:33 p.m. And that makes me so happy.
Okay. All right, so we are going to move to April 15th of 2024. What are we going to see from that day?
This is the first time that we see Colt with any sort of mass shooter photographs on a wall.
Okay. I'm going to pull that up. Okay, and what date is on this picture?
The date that it was captured was April 15th of 2024 at 6:14 a.m. So you see the red box at the bottom highlighting the capture time. And this is kind of a screenshot from what it looks like on the Cellbrite extractions from the images.
Okay, and then we'll zoom in. Okay, so behind Colt in that picture, can you identify who is in that picture, or at least some of the people?
Yes, from what you can see, the two that I can identify are Nicholas Cruz and Peyton Gendron.
And were any of these pictures on the wall or consistent with the pictures that were on the wall on September 4th?
Yes, there were 2 that I could see.
Okay. And I'm going to pull up. Are those the 2?
It is, yes.
Okay. Now we're going to move to April 21st of 2024. What happens on that day?
There's an email that is between the defendant and Deborah Polhamus.
Okay. And where did you find that email?
I'm in the Google records.
I'm going to pull that email up. Can you tell us the time it was sent and then read it to the jury?
The date and time is the 21st of April of 2024 at 1:04 p.m. Hey, I'm sorry the kids asked you again. Me and Coley went to church and I told them not to do that before I left. I told them we were trying to keep the power on and internet. I guess I'm going to just have the cable turned off to save money. That's what the other email I sent you was. Colt is relentless and I'm trying not to have him blow up on me. I have sold both of my guns to pay car insurance and food, but as fast as I get stuff, it's gone. I feel like I'm going to get an offer from the interview I had. Then I have a face-to-face Tuesday, and then Wednesday I'm meeting with Kevin Price in his office and hope to get an offer for that as well. I totally hate that we are having to ask for anything from you, Mama. I asked 2 of my sisters and it just started a fight, but I'm going to ask again. I don't know what else to do.
Okay. And now we're going to move to May of 2024, the next month. Kind of tell us generally what happened this month.
There were some more gun-related purchases during this month, as well as search history.
Okay. And the first day we talk about is going to be May 3rd. What happened that day?
There was a purchase at Elite Pawn.
Okay. I'm going to pull up that purchase. So May 3rd, what was the amount of the purchase from Elite Pawn?
It was $794.80.
And are you familiar with Elite Pawn and jewelry?
I am.
And and are you familiar with that, like in your capacity as a law enforcement officer?
Yes.
And what generally is sold there?
It is a regular pawn store that has lawn equipment, tools, but it also has a gun store as well.
And I'm going to pull up kind of a picture of the storefront. Is that what the storefront looks like?
It is.
And on the left there, it says the gun room at Elite Pawn. Is that all in the same store?
It is.
Okay. So you can buy guns and ammunition there, but it still is, you're purchasing it from Elite Pawn.
That's correct.
Okay. Did you attempt to get records from Elite Pawn?
I did.
And were you able to obtain any?
I was not.
And why is that?
Shortly after the incident date for this case, Elite Pawn changed ownerships. And with them changing ownerships, they also changed over their systems that they use to keep records.
So they didn't have any available for you?
They did not.
Okay. So next we're going to move to May 10th. And what types of text messages are on May 10th?
They are text messages between Jenny and the defendant.
Okay. I'm going to pull that up. All right. Tell me what, you said this was between Jenny and the defendant. Kind of take us through these text messages.
This is May 10th at 8:17 a.m. Jenny sends to the defendant, now you started things with Colt.
What time was that?
At 8:17 a.m. And then she also says, this day fucking sucks. Also 8:17 a.m.
Okay. And does the defendant respond to these text messages?
He does not.
Does anything else happen on May 10th?
There is another purchase at Elite Pawn.
Okay. And I'm going to pull up that and zoom in. Okay. How much was that purchase for?
$449.34.
Okay. So we're going to move from May 10th to May 21st. What happens on May 21st?
There is a search for a gun safe.
Okay. And who searched for the gun safe?
The defendant.
Okay. All right. And kind of tell us generally what time these searches were and what kind of gun safe it was.
These searches were from the defendant's phone extraction. They were at May 21st, 2024 at 4:44 and 4:45 p.m. And these appear to be safes that can hold a handgun.
And were there any corresponding purchases for gun safes around that time?
There was not.
All right. So now we're going to move to May 27th, which is 6 days later. Tell us what happened that day.
Colt sends the defendant a text message with a attachment of a picture.
I'm going to pull up that. All right. So what time did he send this picture?
At 1:19 p.m.
Okay. I'm going to pull up that picture. And what is that a picture of?
It's a picture of Colt holding a firearm with a green laser light pointing at the camera.
And based on your review of the crime scene photos, is that furniture and that room consistent with Colt's bedroom?
It is.
And does the defendant respond to that text message?
He does not.
All right, so we are going to move to May 31st, which is 4 days later. What happens that day?
There is another purchase at Academy Sports.
Okay, and what does the defendant purchase that day?
This is from the Conyers Academy Sports location, and it's a Redfield 556223 REM COM, and this is a cleaning kit for a rifle.
And would it be a cleaning kit that could be used on the Colt Sig Sauer?
It could be, yes.
And then also on May 31st, does the defendant purchase something else that's gun related?
Yes, from Amazon.
We're going to bring up that purchase. Okay, and what is that he purchased?
The top one is a flashlight laser combo for $65.99.
And that 211.2, what is that?
That is from the Amazon identification number for the records.
And is this something that could be used on a rifle?
Yes, it could be.
And then does he purchase something else from Amazon?
Yes, the same day there is an accessory rail set purchased for $9.99.
And what is the accessory rail set for?
For a rifle.
And I'm going to pull up 211.3. Is that a picture of the accessory rail set that was purchased?
It is.
Okay. And then 111.140, a crime scene picture from Apalachee. Is that accessory or rail set that is on that firearm, the firearm used in the shooting, consistent with the one that was purchased that day?
It's consistent, yes.
Okay. Now, okay, we're going to move to June of 2024. And generally what happened on this day?
There are more gun-related purchases and more evidence of Colt's behavior.
Okay. And I misspoke, this month. We have more than one day in this month that we're going to talk about. So the first day is going to be June 1st. And what did the defendant purchase that day?
There was an Academy purchase for a bore sight laser for $12.31.
Okay. And St. Civic 211.4, what does that show?
It shows the bore sight laser that was purchased from Amazon.
Okay. And then we're going to move to June 6th. Was something purchased that day as well?
Yes.
And where was it purchased from?
This one was from Amazon as well.
Okay, and I'm going to pull up that purchase record. What was purchased from Amazon on that day?
45-degree fiber optic iron sights for $27.99.
And what are iron sights?
To be honest, I'm not really sure. They're used on a rifle.
Because are they something, another type of sight on a rifle?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm going to pull up 211.5. What is that?
It's the Amazon photograph that was purchased.
And based on the brand that is seen on this picture, were the iron sights that were located on the firearm used in the shooting consistent with the ones that were purchased on June 6th?
Yes, they were.
Okay, so next day, we're going to go just move one more day ahead to June 7th. What happened on 6/7?
There were text messages.
Okay, and I'm going to pull up that first text message, June 7th. What time?
This was at 11:57 a.m.
And who sent that?
It's from the defendant
And who did he send it
to Colt.
And what does he say?
Okay, hey Bubba, hear what I'm saying right now, okay? And what I'm about to ask is not trying to start anything. Make sure you understand that, okay? Again, from the defendant at 12:04. Okay, question I have is this. Did you tell Mamu that you had the screwdriver in your hand for self-defense? Please tell me the truth, because we both know I wasn't even looking at you when you threw it at me.
Okay. Does something else happen on June 7th?
Yes,
Okay, and what is that?
there's another purchase at Academy Sports.
All right, I'm going to pull up that purchase record. What time was this purchase?
This was at 3:41 p.m. on June 7th.
And was that after the text message about throwing the screwdriver?
Yes.
And what was purchased that day?
The first one that's highlighted is BC 17.25 round SNC 5-pack and for $19.99.
Okay, and I'm going to pull up a crime scene photo from the defendant's house, 145.112. What specifically is that was purchased?
A pack of targets.
And are these targets that were found at the defendant's house consistent with the ones that were purchased that day?
They are
And where were they found in the house?
in Colt's closet.
All right. And then was there another purchase at Academy that day?
There was.
All right, let's bring that up. And what was purchased?
Lake City, Winchester, USA, which is ammunition.
And how much was that for?
$119.99.
So based on the amount and based on the description, approximately how many rounds were in that pack?
This was a 200 round pack.
And the Lake City Winchester, were those the type of rounds or type of ammunition that were used in the Apalachee school shooting?
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to start by handing you 115 and 109. Can you kind of let the jury know again what those are?
109 is 223 cartridge cases from room 2.152 from Apalachee High School.
In cartridge cases, are those essentially, in layman's terms, spent rounds?
It is, yes.
Okay.
And then 115 is 18 223 cartridge cases, Lake City, Winchester, from the hallway of J floor and room 2.152.
And so based on this purchase, the Lake City Winchester rounds, are they consistent with the rounds that were actually fired, the spent rounds that were recovered in those evidence bags?
They are.
Okay, and now I'm going to show you 124 and 123. And what are those?
123 is one black colored 5.56 gun magazine and 17 Winchester 223 cartridges from the magazine on J floor, hallway J at Apalachee. And then 124 is a black and colored 5.56 gun magazine 15 Lake City cartridge casings for magazine, or cartridges for magazine, sorry, and 15 Lake City cartridges from magazine, also from the hallway J floor from Apalachee.
Okay. And are those the unspent rounds?
They are, yes.
And are those rounds that were still in the magazines consistent, again, with what was purchased on June 7th from Academy?
Yes, they were Lake City Winchester rounds.
Okay. Thank you.
We're going to take a morning break. We've been in here since 9. Let me also, when you see captions, and this is probably self-evident, when you see captions at the top of the presentation here throughout, those are DA's office captions to just kind of, to the extent it helps you understand the record, the evidence of the records. Okay? All right, we'll be in recess for 10, 15 minutes. You look ready. You look ready.
I'm ready.
Bring them back. All right, let me see.
Okay. All right. So now we are moving from 6/7 to 6/10. What happened on June 10th?
There was a purchase of a tactical vest
Okay. And who was that for?
for Colt,
And who purchased it?
the defendant.
All right. So I'm going to bring up a text message from June 10th. It's a little bit hard to read, but can you tell us who this is from and who it's to, when it was sent, and what it says?
So it was from the defendant to Colt, and it was June 10th of 2024 at 10:16 a.m. And it says, "Yo, I got this for you, son, because I love you. And also so hopefully you can work on being a little more patient. Colt, when it comes to you, and if you need something, if I can do it, I will do it. But if I cannot, then I can't do it. And that's when I need you to be okay with it. Knowing that as soon as I can, I will. At the end of the day, being disrespectful and flat out being mean and ugly doesn't do anything. So please, when you feel like you're getting angry or about to lose your temper, take a deep breath and realize I'm going to make it happen at some point. Okay? I'm working hard for us, and I do not want any more of that pushing, shoving, hitting anymore. We both deserve better than that. So there's the windup and the pitch. See you later, alligator. Love you."
And did he send an attachment?
There was an attachment, yes.
And is that the attachment?
Yes.
And what is that?
It's just a screenshot of the Amazon order.
Okay. And does Colt take a picture of himself in that vest?
He does.
I'm going to pull up June 14th. Tell us what that is.
This is a from Jenny's phone extraction. This is a text message from Colt to Jenny with the picture as the attachment.
Okay. And is this the attachment?
It is.
And is that consistent with the vest that was purchased on June 10th?
It is.
Okay. All right. So next we're going to move to June 20th. What happened that day?
This day, Colt sends 2 photographs to the defendant.
Okay. And I'm going to pull up that first text message. You said Colt sends it to the defendant.
That's correct.
What time did he send this picture to the defendant?
At 9:17 a.m.
And I'm going to pull up what the attachment is. Okay. Can you identify what picture Colt sent to the defendant?
This is a picture of the defendant with Jenny and little Coley.
Is there anything unusual about the picture?
It looks like the picture's been altered. Looks like the face of the defendant has been scratched or marked with something. And then also the, around the fingers, it's been scratched or marked on.
And is that your wedding ring hand?
It is.
And then you said he sent 2 pictures. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to pull up the next picture that was sent. And when was this sent?
This was sent at the same time as the last one.
Okay. And is it again from Colt to the defendant?
It is.
All right, I'm going to pull up the picture that was sent. Can you tell me what this is?
This is a picture of the defendant holding little Coley with Jenny and Colt.
Okay.
And this one appears to have the defendant's face cut out.
Okay. And does the defendant ever respond to these pictures?
He does not.
Okay. So we're now going to move to June 28th. What happened on June 28th?
There was another purchase from Academy.
So now this is 8 days after the Colt sends those pictures to the defendant. What does he purchase?
The one highlighted in red is M&P out the front spring for $54.99, and it is a knife.
Okay. And I'm going to pull up next slide. Was a knife consistent with that purchase found at Apalachee High School?
It was.
Okay, is that states exhibit 111.114?
It is.
Was that knife found in Colt's backpack?
It was.
Okay. All right. So that completes June, or that part of our summary. So now we're going to move to July of 2024. Okay. Can you tell me generally kind of what happened in this month that we're going to talk about?
There's some more evidence of Colt's behavior in the month of July, and then also the defendant's search history.
Okay. So now we're at 2 months before the shooting. And on July 3rd, this is the first day we're talking about. What happens this day?
This is July 3rd at 5:27 p.m. This is a text message from Jenny to the defendant, and it says, "Hey, I think he calmed down."
And does the defendant respond to that?
He does.
Okay. And is this his response?
It is.
And what does it say?
It says, "He doesn't calm down that quick. And Jenny, I can't live like this. It's seriously not good." And then he responds again, "It tears me up. I just want him happy. And man, he like calls me everything in the book."
Okay. Now, we're at July 3rd. When does Marcy move back to Barrow in relation to July 3rd?
On July 6th is when the defendant goes down to pick her up from Glenville, Georgia.
Okay. And then what's the next day in the summary after July 3rd?
I believe it's July 9th.
Okay. And what happens on July 9th?
There's an email from the defendant to Deborah Polhamus.
And then what record did that come from?
It came from the Google records.
I'm going to pull up that email. Can you read that email for us?
Yes, the subject is a forwarding message back to school reminders from Colin Gray. This is his work email address, and to D. Polhamus at Hotmail, which is Deborah Polhamus's email. It says, "Hey mama, I got this from Barrow Schools. August 1st is the first day. I'm worried about Colt's first day. What was the name of that lady you spoke with regarding Colt?"
Okay. Now we're going to move to July 20th. What happens that day?
Marcy sends a text to Jenny.
And is that related to the panic attack that
Yes.
Colt had?
Yes.
All right. So I know we've already introduced these texts in through Marcy, but I want to have you read one of those texts for the jury.
Okay. This is, it says from Dab. This is the phone that Marcy was using while she was in Winder. And it says, "I told him we're taking him to the doctor next week. Going to schedule an appointment for when you and Mamie come back so she can drive us."
And you said this was a text from Marcy to Jenny. Does it come off of Jenny's phone extraction?
It does.
Okay. So in this text thread, Marcy also mentions that Colt asked them to call 911. Any records that they called 911 that day?
No, there were no records.
And as far as in this particular text message, she indicates that they were going to take Colt to the doctor next week. In reviewing the financial records, did you find any evidence that the defendant took Colt to a doctor in this time frame?
I did not.
Any evidence that he took him anytime after this?
No.
All right, so next we're going to go to July 24th. What happens on that date?
This is when Deborah Polhamus texts the defendant about getting Colt in school.
All right, so July 24th at 1:41, Deborah texts the defendant. Can you tell us what she said?
Says, hey, I am up here, but I'm planning to leave tonight. Marcy said she had talked to the registrar about Colt, but the lady needs to talk to you. Wondering if you could do that before I go home. Maybe when you get home this afternoon. I know you are swamped, but you are the only one who can get this done. Thanks.
So at this point, had Colt been registered for school?
No.
Okay. And does anything else happen on July 24th?
Yes, there's another text message.
Okay, and what is that text message?
This is a text message from Marcy to the defendant at 5:34 p.m. And it says, I started Colt on Zoloft today. Don't say anything about it unless he brings it up.
And is this text message from the defendant's cell phone extraction?
It is, yes.
Okay. And was his response K or okay?
Yes.
Okay. So now we're going to move to July 26th. What happened that day?
There was a Google record search.
Okay. So this is 2 days after Debbie had asked him to contact the school or asked the defendant to contact the school. What does the defendant do on July 26th?
There's two searches for Heyman Morris Middle School Registrar and Georgia Connections Academy, which is one of the online schools. And this one is going to be at 1:37 p.m. and 1:41 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Okay, so that ends July. Now we're moving to August, 1 month before the shooting. Kind of tell us how August is shown in this timeline.
August is organized a little bit differently because there was a lot more information provided in the records for the month of August. So on each day in August, I compiled a calendar to kind of orient with each day.
Okay, I'm going to pull up the first calendar that we have for August 3rd. Can you tell the jury what the highlighted yellow means and then what's in red?
So what's in red is school-related events. So there's when the school year starts, his first day of school, the school holidays, and then the incident date. You see the dates first and second highlighted in yellow. Those are dates that Colt did not attend school. And then you see the kind of the blue box that's highlighted on the third. As we go through, the highlighted box is the day that we're talking about.
And then on days that Colt did attend school, what color will that be?
It'll be highlighted in blue on days that he did attend school.
And then as we kind of move to the next day, does anything populate on the calendar?
Yes, well, it'll kind of populate what we just talked about. So after the third, whatever we talked about on the third will populate on that date on the calendar.
And so the first day we talk about in August is August 3rd. What happens on that day?
There's some photographs that are found on Colt's cell phone extraction.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up those. So we're going to start with the first photo. Earlier, we had a capture date and a modified date. Here, we only have a modified date. Tell us what that means.
So a modified date doesn't necessarily mean the date that the photograph was taken. It just means that that is the date that the photograph was moved. It was either deleted or moved to a different folder. It can mean that it was sent through a messaging app or sent through some sort of social media. And so it can mean a bunch of different things, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's the date that the photo was taken.
And I guess you were unable to find a photo that had the capture date. Is that accurate?
That's correct.
Based on what is in the photo, can you determine a time frame for this picture?
Yes. So if you look at the picture there, Colt is wearing the vest, which we just went over that it was purchased on June 10th. Also within the evidence, there was a capture date on photos when Colt dyed his hair, which was July 25th. And so his hair is dyed in this picture. So we can kind of have a date range from July 25th until August 3rd. When he moved the picture into, it looks like a messaging app based on the data.
And what is he holding?
He's holding the rifle that was used in the shooting.
All right, and then I'm going to pull up another picture. Is that also modified on August 3rd?
It is, yes.
And do both of those pictures appear to be in Colt's room?
They did, yes.
Now we're going to pull up the final picture that is also modified on August 3rd. Tell us what that picture is of.
This is a picture of the Sig Sauer rifle sitting in Colt's computer chair. And then you can see another rifle in the background.
Okay. All right, so that ends August 3rd. Now we're going to move to August 4th. Okay. And tell us generally what happens on August 4th.
This one is going to be a text conversation.
Okay. So I'm going to pull that text conversation. Who is it between?
The defendant and Deborah Polhamus.
Okay. And can you read us the text?
It says, I hate to bother you at the beach. I just need to get a little more groceries with school, rent. I'm going to ask doctor tomorrow if I can catch up next week with them. I can send it back to you on Friday. Not much. Thank you either way.
Okay. And where was the defendant working at this time?
Kevin Price Construction.
And based on his bank records, about how often was he paid and how much?
Based on his bank records, he was getting paid weekly, $1,429, and with a $750 truck allowance per month.
Okay. And we're going to move to August 5th. What happened that day?
There were more photographs found on Colt's cell phone extraction.
And then were there also, sorry, this is Debbie's response. Before we move to the next day, what did she respond?
This is from August 4th as in response to that message. I sent money. Colt needs to be in school tomorrow, please.
Okay. All right, so we're moving to August 5th, and you said there are more pictures that are on Colt's cell phone. So I'm going to pull up those from August 5th. Tell me about those photos.
These are the same kind of scenario as the previous ones. So they have a modified date of August 5th. Again, he's wearing the tan vest in both of these photos with the dyed hair. So after July 25th of 2024 and prior to August 5th of 2024. And in the picture on the right, he's holding a firearm, a rifle, and you can see the 45-degree iron sight on that in that picture.
All right, so now we're going to move to August 9th. Okay, tell us generally what happens this day.
On this day, there were photographs found on Colt's phone of a school shooter shrine.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to pull those up. Are these were there 3 photos found?
There were.
Okay, and you previously mentioned the other photos had a modified date. Do these have a captured date?
They do have a capture date.
Can you tell us what the captured date and time of each of these photos is?
So you can see on the bottom of these three snips, it shows the camera make, camera model, capture time. They're at August 9th, 2024 at 5:05 a.m., 5:06 a.m., and 5:10 a.m.
Okay. And then I'm going to zoom in on one of those pictures so you can see the background. Can you identify who these pictures are of?
These pictures are of Nicholas Cruz.
And again, and you may have already said this, but does this appear to be in Colt's room?
It is.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to review the picture that was taken on September 4th of Colt's wall?
I have, yes.
Do those pictures appear to be in the same configuration as the photos that were on his wall on September 4th?
They are.
Now, you said it was taken at 5 a.m. in the morning.
Yes.
Based on your review of the location data from the defendant's phone, would he generally be home at 5 a.m. in the morning?
Yes, it seemed as if he had a typical work schedule, 7 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Okay.
as a whole.
So generally would leave the house around what time?
I believe 6:30.
And then generally would get home around what time?
Depending between 4 and 5. Some days were different.
And when he got home, would he generally stay home?
Yes.
All right. So also on August 9th, we have another picture of Colt. Can you tell us about that picture?
This picture is a modified date of August 9th of 2024. And this one, he has his hair dyed. So somewhere between July 25th and August 9th of 2024. And he is holding a gun. This one is not consistent with the Sig Sauer, but this is a shotgun that was consistent with the one found in the defendant's closet during the search of the house.
All right. And does that also appear to be taken in Colt's room based on the background?
Yes.
I'm going to pull up next the calendar for August, and we're next talking about August 10th. Can you tell us what happens on this date?
There's a Google web history for the defendant.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up that Google history. You said it was the defendant's history?
It is, yes.
What does he look up and what time?
So this was, it says visited online therapy with a licensed therapist. And what visited means is just that a URL was accessed at the specific time. So as if like that specific, when you click on that, it'll take you to the URL.
Okay.
And it was at 12:35 p.m.
So those Google records are in UTC time and you had to convert them?
That's correct.
Okay. All right. The next day is August 11th. I'm going to pull up our calendar again. Tell us what happened on August 11th.
This is a text message that Colt sends the defendant.
Okay. Can you tell us what that text message says and when he sent it?
This was August 11th at 11:22 a.m. And he says, could you stop by Academy and pick up a 150 round pack of 5.56? If they don't have, and 5.56, 223 will do.
All right. So the rounds that he is asking, are they consistent with the ammunition that would be used in Colt's gun?
Yes.
And does the defendant respond to this particular text message?
No.
All right, we're going to move to the next. I guess he sends a follow-up text, Colt does, to the defendant. And what does he say?
On the way home, of course.
All right. So we're going to move to August 12th. What happens on August 12th?
On August 12th, there is a web history search from the defendant's phone extraction.
All right. So now we're We're one day after Colt asked the defendant to buy 150 rounds of ammunition. We're on August 12th, and what does he search for?
At 9:46 p.m., he searches for .223 ammunition.
And is that the kind of ammunition that Colt had asked him to buy for him the day before?
It is, yes.
All right, so now we are going to move to August 14th, which is just 2 days later. All right, so take us through in terms of Colt's school between his registration date of August 6th and August 14th. Did he attend school at all?
No, he has not attended. So he registered on the 6th of August, and this is now a week and 1 day later. All of those days he did not attend school.
All right, so is August 14th his first day of school?
It is, yes.
And around what time does his school start?
I believe it's 8:15.
And what does Colt do before school starts?
Colt calls the defendant.
I'm going to pull up his calls. What time does he call him, and does the defendant answer?
He calls at 6:48 a.m. and he does not answer.
When the defendant doesn't answer, what does Colt do?
He starts sending the defendant text messages.
And again, are these text messages before the school day starts?
It is, yes.
Okay. We're going to just go through those text messages between Colt and the defendant. So the first one is at 6:49 a.m.
Yes, it says, "I'm sick of your shit. This is the fucking end for you."
And are all these text messages kind of like back to back to back to back?
They are. "No more apologies. I have fucking had it with you. The way you twist shit is so old. You fucking caused this."
All right, I'm going to stop for just a second. So as we're reading through these, it says there's a line that says red. Can you tell us what that means?
Yes, so the red, it shows, so the message at the bottom shows 6:50 and 37 seconds, and then the red is 6:52. So that's when the message was actually opened in the messaging app.
That indicates the defendant opened the message at 6:52.
That's correct.
All right, so he says, "You effing caused this," and then what does Colt say next?
"Whenever something happens, just know the blood is on your hands. Fuck you. Drive off a fucking cliff."
Okay. So based on your review of the records, is this the first day Colt attends school since May 19th of 2023? Or May of 2023?
I believe he wasn't in school all of 2023, so it would have been before that.
Or I guess went from Jefferson to here.
Yes,
So he has not attended school since he had been in Jefferson.
that's correct.
Okay. So Colt sends these text messages, and what happens after that?
The defendant drives and picks up Colt and takes him to Apalachee High School.
Does he respond to the text messages?
He does
at all?
not.
Okay. So you said he takes him to Apalachee High School. How do you know that?
These are the location records that I spoke about earlier. This is through the program tracks, and the little red dot that you can see on the yellow pin, that's a specific location from his cell phone extraction data. So this is the one on the left is at 8:12 a.m. and that's the first time that we see his location data from his cell phone arrive at Apalachee High School. And then the one on the right is 8:19 a.m. and that's when he is leaving Apalachee High School.
Okay. So he's there for 7 minutes.
That's correct, yes.
Now, what else happens on August 14th?
In his Google records, or in the defendant's Google records, there's a reminder set in the calendar.
Okay. Let's pull up that reminder. Whose calendar and what is the reminder for?
This is a calendar from the Google records for the email address associated with the defendant. And this is a reminder that the title is Zoloft, and the start date is Wednesday, August 14th at 10 p.m.
Okay. And at this time on August 14th, was Marcy still living at the house?
Yes, she was.
Okay. At this point, had the defendant, or I guess Marcy, set up insurance through the defendant's work for the family?
Yes.
And based on your review of the records, when did that insurance start?
It was supposed to start July 1st, but the paperwork wasn't completed until July 31st. And then so the first date that the insurance was started was August 1st.
So we're going to move to August 15th. What day of the week is that?
It's a Thursday.
And did Colt attend school that Thursday?
No, he did not.
What's the first thing that happens on August 15th?
There's text messages between, I believe, Marcy and the defendant.
We're going to, so you've added some time, like a timeline also, or a time of text messages at the top. Is that because a lot happens on this day?
That's correct.
All right. So these first text messages are between who?
Between Marcy and the defendant.
And what's the time frame for when they're sent?
7:11 a.m. to 7:28 a.m.
Okay. And will you read those text messages?
Yes, it says Colt said his neck hurts and he's nauseous, so he's taking today off school. And the defendant responds, "What?" And Marcy says, "He said if you have a problem with it, he would talk to you." And then Marcy says, "Do you want to talk to him?" And then defendant responds, "It's his second day."
Okay. And so then after these text messages, what happens?
Colt then sends the defendant a text message.
All right. And can you tell us the time frame for these texts?
These texts are from 7:54 a.m. to 8:56 a.m.
All right. And what does Colt say?
He says, "Yo, can I get a headset that's on sale for $70? Stop ignoring my texts. I know you see them."
And was that much later than that first text?
It was. This one was at 8:56 a.m.
Okay. So now we're going to move to the next conversation. And is that also between Colt and the defendant?
It is.
And what's the time frame of this conversation?
This is between 11:04 a.m. and 11:08 a.m.
And what does Colt say?
He says, "Mama just attacked me. Kept saying, fight me, like seriously. Tried to grab my gun. So I pushed her out of my room and onto the ground. I took a video, but it won't let me send it."
Okay, so in that text, Colt mentions taking a video. Were you able to find a video on Colt's extraction?
I did not find a video.
Did you find anything from that time frame, like a picture or anything?
Yes, a lot of times if you delete a video, sometimes there will be, I guess what easiest way to say is remnants of the video. So kind of still photos that you can find in the metadata of the phone extraction. And so there was a photograph that appeared as if it came from a video on the tape.
Okay, and is this that photo?
It is.
This one was previously introduced through Marcy, but would it have been kind of taken in that time frame, or appear to have been taken in the time frame of those text message or of that morning?
Yes.
Okay. And then Colt now sends another text.
This is at 11:07 a.m. She kept saying, "Fight me," and she tried to grab my gun.
And what does the defendant say?
Just out of the blue. And he responds, "Yep." And the defendant at 11:08, "Why did she attack you?"
And does Colt respond at 11:08?
He doesn't. He responds, but it's several hours later.
Okay. So in between when Colt responds to the defendant, what does the defendant do?
There is a text message, I believe.
Okay, and Is that between Debbie and the defendant?
Yes.
And what time frame is that text message?
11:14 a.m. to 11:15 a.m.
And what does the defendant say to Debbie?
He says, Mama, I need you to call Colt or Marcy. I'm at work with my boss today and the shit has hit the fan at home. Colt didn't go to school today. And then Debbie responds, I'm talking to Colt right now. Don't worry.
Okay. So after that, so about 8 minutes later, does Marcy call the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. And what does, or approximately how long is that phone call?
It's about 1 minute and 55 seconds.
Okay. 5 minutes after that phone call between Marcy and the defendant, does the defendant then text Debbie again?
Yes.
All right. So at 11:28, the defendant texts Debbie, and what does he say?
Look, I just got a call from her crying so bad, said she is scared. I just found out Jenny is at home today. I'm going to end up losing my job, Mama. Did you talk to her? Debbie responds, I told her to go into her bedroom and stay there. I told Colt the same thing. I think she got mad because I called her out for letting them stay home. She had obviously taken too much of her Seroquel. Charlie wants to come and get her, and I agree. You guys are doing too good for her to screw it up. We will plan to come in the morning while you are working, if that's okay.
Okay. So that's 11:32. And then when does Colt finally respond to the defendant's text message about what happened?
At 1:52 p.m.
Okay. And what does he say?
She was grabbing for my rifle, and I didn't know what she planned to do with it. So I kind of acted in fight or flight.
And how does the defendant respond to that?
He responds, it's all good. Why was the gun involved? Or how?
And
Colt responds, I don't know. She backed me into my room and started talking about, oh, are you going to get your gun? Even though I wasn't, and then she grabbed it.
All right, so that is at 1:54 p.m. that Colt sends that text message to the defendant. What does the defendant do next?
He then, there's a search about an hour after this text.
Okay, so what time is that search?
At 2:51 p.m. And it is, where do I take my son for anxiety near Winder, Georgia?
Are there any other corresponding, other than that search, has he visited any websites related to this that you're aware of?
Not at this time.
Okay. Now, does Colt send the defendant some more text messages?
He does.
And kind of when in relation to that search are these sent?
This is about an hour after that search. That was on the defendant's phone, and Colt sends the defendant a message, and it's just an attachment of what appears to be a bore site from Amazon.
And then what does Colt say?
Could you please buy this?
All right, so that is the last thing on August 15th. So now we're going to move to August 16th. What day of the week is this?
It's a Friday.
And does Colt go to school this day?
He does not.
And what does Marcy do on August 16th based on your review of the evidence?
She goes back to Fitzgerald.
And does Marcy stay in Fitzgerald from August 16th until after the shooting?
Yes, she does.
All right, so on this day, on August 16th, so August 15th, Colt sends the text asking for a bore site. Does the defendant buy that bore site?
He does.
Okay. Does he do that on August 16th?
He does.
Okay. And how much was that bore site?
It was $15.99.
And what is this a picture of, 211.6?
The bore site that matches the Amazon records.
And was a bore site consistent with that found at the defendant's house?
Yes.
So that's 145.67. that bore site, can you tell me where it was found? Or is that a bore site, and where was it found in the house?
This was in the defendant's bedroom, and it's the one circled in red next to just the ammunition, and it's inside of a pair of goggles.
Okay. All right, so still on August 16th, the defendant buys a bore site. What happens next?
Colt sends him a text message.
Okay. So the text message is at 9 a.m. Can you read the text message that Colt sends the defendant?
He says, "I'm restraining myself. As for what I feel like doing right now, I have barely any control over."
All right. So that was 9 a.m. on August 16th. And now we're going to move to August 16th at 10:30 a.m. What does the defendant do an hour and a half after Colt sends that text about restraining himself?
He searches troubled teen options near Athens, Georgia.
Okay. And does he, at this time, visit any websites related to that search?
Yes, he does.
What is the first website he visits?
Eagle Overlook.
I'm gonna pull up that. Okay, so at the top of this record, it says cookie. Tell us what that means.
A cookie is just kind of small pieces of text that websites use to collect information about you. So when nowadays you pull up your internet and you type in go to a website, it'll say, "Do you want to allow cookies?" When you do allow those cookies, then that allows that website to keep track of any information that you are putting on that website.
And so essentially, if you visit a website, there will be a cookie related to that website visit?
Yes.
And what time was this website accessed?
This was at 10:32 a.m.
Now I'm going to pull up our next picture. And what is this a picture of?
This is the picture of when you go to this website, Equal Overlook, and it is a top-rated drug addiction treatment center for teens in the Georgia area and mental health treatments for teens.
Okay. And then we're going to move to his next website visited. What website did the defendant visit next?
Wolf Creek Academy.
And what time did he visit that?
10:35 a.m.
All right. And tell us what this is a picture of.
This is a picture of the website when you go to Wolf Creek Academy, and it's a therapeutic boarding school for troubled teens.
Okay. And for Eagle Overlook as well as Wolf Creek Academy, is there any evidence from the defendant's phone records that he contacted either of these facilities?
No.
All right. So we're still on August 16th. What happens next?
Colt texts the defendant.
Okay. And what does Colt say to the defendant?
At 11:46 a.m., he says, "Hey, if we can get 150 rounds, that's fine. But could we get at least 50? You said when you got paid, you'd get it."
Okay. So we have that first text from August 11th where Colt is asking for 150 rounds of ammunition. And then now we have another text saying, "Hey, or you can give me 50. Between August 11th and September 4th, based on your review of the digital evidence and the shooting range records, did the defendant take Colt to a shooting range?
No.
Did he take him hunting?
No.
Any indication that Colt and the defendant were hunting or were planning on going hunting or shooting in August or September?
Not in any of the digital records.
And then is there any indication that Colt and the defendant went hunting or to a shooting range in 2024 other than the two times we've seen?
No.
Okay. So Colt and the defendant went together only twice.
That's correct.
And then any indication that they went hunting at any point from the digital records in 2024?
No.
When does a typical hunting season start in Georgia?
I think it depends on whether it's bow or rifle, but with the rifle, I believe it's always usually mid to late October.
Okay. And then when did the defendant read this text from Colt?
At 11:47 a.m.
Okay. And what is the next item of note?
At 11:55 a.m., which is about 10 minutes after, he searches child psychology and child psychologist near Bethlehem, Georgia. One being at 11:55 a.m. and the other one being at 12:23 p.m.
Okay. And then after that search, does he again visit specific websites related to that search?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the first one he visits?
Hope Anger Management at 12:24 p.m.
And I'm going to pull up this picture. What is this a picture of?
This is a picture of the About section of the Hope Anger Management when you pull up their website. It offers services for behavioral issues, mental health, and therapy.
And then does he visit another website related to the child psychologist search?
He does.
And what website is that?
ccswinder.com at 12:25 p.m.
Okay. And then I'm going to pull up a picture from that website and tell us what this shows us.
This is Comprehensive Counseling Services, the website that would come from the URL. And it's a community-based health center that provides mental health therapy.
Okay. And does the defendant contact either of these two places, Hope Anger Management or Comprehensive Counseling, based on your review of the digital evidence?
No.
Okay. Does he contact a mental health provider, though, that day?
Yes.
Okay. And who does he contact?
Dawn Crook with Enlightenment Counseling.
I'm going to pull up that contact. This has also already been admitted into evidence, but if you could just remind the jury what time and what he said to Dawn Crook to kind of put it in, basically put it in relation to the other text messages we've seen today.
So this was at 12:41 p.m. So kind of 20 minutes after the last search. He sends a submission form to Enlightenment Counseling that says, I am a working dad of 3. Colt is my oldest, 14 years old. We have had a very difficult past couple of years and he needs help. Anger, anxiety, quick to be volatile. I don't know what to do. I have United Healthcare. Can you help? Thanks.
Okay. And so after he sends this to Dawn Crook about Colt, does he respond to Colt's text messages about the ammunition?
He does.
Okay. I'm going to pull up that response.
This is at 2:05 p.m. On the way home, please, Bubba, tonight, let's just be mellow. Please, I have a need to work through. Just remember, I love you.
And then what does Colt say to that?
He responds, did you see my text?
And was that at 2:06?
It is, yes.
And what does the defendant say to that?
He says, yes, later. I need to pay everything first, but we will.
And I guess the previous text messages were those about buying ammunition.
Yes.
All right. So now we're still on August 16th. Now we've already been through all of the Dawn Crook messages. I don't want to bring them all up, but Dawn Crook does respond to the defendant.
She does, yes.
Okay. And is it on this day?
It is, yes.
And does he respond to her email to him?
He does.
Okay. And I'm going to put up is this his second response?
It is his second response.
And can you remind the jury what he said to Dawn and what time he said it?
He said, do you have a number that I can call once I'm not in the field? And this is at 2:40 p.m.
And so assuming the field is work, where was the defendant when he sent this message?
He was at his house, 896 Harrison Mill. And on the left-hand side, you can see wireless network. This is wireless network connection. He connected to Gray Fam Wi-Fi, which is the Wi-Fi for the house. And it was first connected at 2:34, again connected at 2:50. So he was at the house during that email.
So fair to say he was not in the field at that time.
Correct.
Okay. And now we're still on August 16th. What does the defendant do next?
He searches for gun safes.
And how, in relation to that last email to Don Crook, where he's asking her to give him a number to call, what time frame are these gun searches?
It's about, I think 11 minutes. The last one was at 2:40, so around 11 minutes after that response.
So 11 minutes after that, what does he search for?
He searches for gun safes, and these are the images that came up in the search. And this is from 2:51 p.m. on the far left to 2:52 p.m. on the far right.
And what kind of gun safes is he searching for?
It appears to be some gun safes that can hold rifles and a couple other gun safes that can hold handguns.
All right, and then we have some more searches. Are these also searches for gun safes?
They are, and the time frame for these was 2:52 p.m. until 3:14 p.m. So I think in total it was about 20 minutes.
In the defendant's financial records, are there any corresponding purchases for gun safes?
No.
Were there any gun-related purchases for accessories?
Yes.
Okay. What's the next thing that happens on August 16th?
There is a phone call.
Before we get to the phone call, does the defendant send a screenshot of his response to Don Crook to Debbie?
He does.
Okay. And what time does he send that screenshot of what Don Crook said to him?
This is at 3:46 p.m. He sends the screenshot of Don Crook's response to Debbie Polhamus.
Okay. And so after he sends that screenshot showing Debbie that he's reached out to Don Crook, does Don Crook attempt to call him?
She does, yes.
All right. And what day was that?
It was August 16th at 4:35 p.m.
And does the defendant answer?
He does not.
Okay. And we've already heard that voicemail, but did she leave a voicemail?
She did.
All right. So that ends August 16th. We're going to move to August 21st. Take us through. So August 16th, Colt did not go to school. Does he go to school the next week?
He goes to school Monday the 19th and Tuesday the 20th.
All right. And what happens on the 21st?
He does not go to school.
Okay. And what's the first thing that we have that happens on August 21st?
There's another missed call and voicemail from Don Crook with Enlightenment Counseling.
Okay, so this is 5 days after the first one.
Yes.
And then does he answer?
No.
Does she leave a voicemail again?
She does.
All right. Now we're still on August 21st. Does Marcy text the defendant this day?
She does.
Okay, what does she text him about?
About the Advantage Behavioral Health Crisis Stabilization Center.
Okay. And again, we've introduced these through Marcy, but just for the timeline purposes, she sends this text and about them taking, or Advantage Behavioral taking their insurance. Does she also send a link to Advantage Behavioral?
She does.
Okay. Is that the link she sent?
Yes.
Does the defendant actually visit that link?
He does.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up that, which is also on August 21st at 4:39. So pretty close in time to when she sent the link. He opens it.
Yes.
Okay. And again, how do you know that he has visited the crisis stabilization unit at Advantage Behavioral Health?
This is web history from his phone extraction, meaning that the URL was visited and clicked on essentially.
Does the defendant ever respond to Marcy's text about the facility?
No.
And then after he visits the website, what happens next?
There is a follow-up email.
Okay. And again, and this is, we've introduced these previously, but this is Don Crook, again, trying to reach out to the defendant about counseling.
Yes.
Based on your review of the digital records, did the defendant ever respond to this email or either phone call?
No, he does not.
Okay. Okay, so now we're at August 25th, which is a Sunday, and it's the Sunday before the shooting. What happens on this day?
This day is another visit from web history on the defendant's phone.
Okay, and what does he visit on August 25th?
He visits, again, the Advantage Behavioral Health System Crisis Stabilization website.
And does he visit it, it looks like twice?
Yes, 2:11 a.m. and 2:16 a.m.
Okay. So, I think August 26th, Your Honor, is a pretty dense day. Do you want, I don't know if you want to go ahead and take a lunch.
Yeah, we're close. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our lunch break. Be recess till 1 o'clock. All right, we'll do recess till 1.
Yeah, let's start. Good idea. Oh, yeah. And on the 26th, does Colt go to school?
He does.
Does he do anything before he goes to school?
He does.
And what does he do?
He tries to call the defendant.
Okay. And what time does he try to call the defendant, and does the defendant answer?
7:34 a.m. and 7:35 a.m. and no.
Okay. And where is the defendant when Colt is trying to call him?
His location data from his cell phone device shows him at 896 Harrison Mill Road.
Okay, so is that his house?
It is.
After Colt tries to call the defendant at 7:34, what happens? What's our next relevant item?
A little bit later, Lisa Butler from Apalachee tries to call defendant.
So based on your review of the evidence, where is Colt at the time Lisa Butler tries to call the defendant?
He's in like the counseling office / suite at the school.
Okay. And these calls look a little bit different. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so these are not from location data from the phone. These are actually from the cellular company records. So these would be from T-Mobile. And so that's why they look a little bit different. And you'll see the date and time, and the phone number that says target number ends in 2768. So this was actually the phone number that the defendant had earlier in the year.
Okay. So this is not the phone number he is currently using.
No, it was not.
So after Lisa Butler attempts to call the defendant, does Colt attempt to call the defendant?
He does.
Okay. And what time was that at?
It was at 10:42 a.m. and 10:51 a.m.
And does the defendant answer those calls?
Yes, he does.
When the defendant answers that phone call from Colt. Where is he?
He is in the vicinity south of Brazelton on 85.
How far away is that from Apalachee?
I believe being mapped, it was about 15 miles or 20 minutes, give or take.
And what happens, I guess, based on the phone records, does the defendant call Marcy after this?
I believe it was 11:23.
So about 30 minutes later, he calls Marcy?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, and is that displayed on this
It is, yes.
slide? And where is that? Is that the top of the slide?
Yes, in the red box at 11:23 a.m. and they spoke for 7 minutes and 31 seconds.
And does, after that call, what does Marcy do?
She sends a text message to Colt.
And these are, I think, have already been introduced through Marcy, but essentially saying, letting him know that this is Marcy, right?
Yes.
Okay, and then what does she follow up with?
She says, I sent this to you last week, not realizing I had the wrong number. It's an inpatient treatment in Athens, like we talked about several times, and you kind of said you wanted to try with the website for Advantage Behavioral Health Crisis Stabilization.
And at this time, is Colt still in the counseling suite?
He is.
Okay. And do Marcy and Colt then talk about acute mania?
They do.
Okay. And after he sends her a text message about acute mania, what does she say?
She responds at 11:50 a.m. But your dad mentioned that you were talking about acute mania last week, so I've been reading more about it since then.
All right. So in this time frame, Lisa Butler sends the defendant the email about Project Aware and copies 2 other clinicians. Do any of those clinicians follow up?
They do.
So I'm going to bring up the first one, which is from Karen Hope. What time did she send that email?
She sent it at 12:04 p.m.
And does she give her phone number or email for him to call if he has any concerns?
She does.
Okay. And we're going to take the next one out of chronological order. But does Jade Baker also follow up?
She does.
And what does she say?
This is a couple of days later, but she just explains that she's going to be the one working with Colt and that she plans to work with him early next week. And if they have any concerns, provides her phone number.
And so counseling is supposed to start sometime around September 3rd or September 4th.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, in the first email that was introduced through Lisa Butler, did she also provide her contact information to the defendant in her email?
She did.
Okay. From viewing the defendant's phone extraction, did he ever call Karen Hope, Jade Baker, or Lisa Butler at any point?
No.
Okay. Did he ever email them with any concerns?
No.
Is the only email he sent the one where he had signed the Project Aware form?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so now we are still on August 26th. Do we have some more photos from Colt's phone on this date?
We do.
Okay. I'm going to pull up that first one. Can you tell me the time of the photo and what it appears to be of?
This is August 26th at 6:25 p.m. This is again a modified date like we spoke about earlier, and it's a picture of a hand holding a box of Winchester ammunition.
Now, those consistent with the type of ammunition that was used in the shooting?
Yes.
They also consistent with the type that the defendant purchased in June?
Yes.
And based on this photo, was it taken in Colt's bedroom?
It is, yes.
I'm going to pull up another picture from that same date. Tell us about this picture.
This is a picture from Colt's bedroom, the wire rack, and these are different types of magazines that are on top of the rack.
And then I'm going to pull up the last photo from this slide. Tell us about that.
This is a picture on Colt's bed with the blue blanket with 4 black magazines, 1 tan magazine, and then the rifle, which appears to be the 6R rifle on the bed as well.
Those magazines that are in that picture, are they consistent with the magazines that were found at Apalachee on September 4th?
They are, yes.
Now, we've talked about the defendant's work schedule. Would there be days where he would be at home when Colt was at school?
Yes.
And was this one of those days where he was at home when Colt was at school?
Yes.
All right. And then what is the last thing that happens on August 26th?
There's another Amazon purchase.
And what did the defendant purchase that day?
On August 26th, it's a unisex half mask for $5.79.
And is that a picture of Colt wearing that half mask?
It is, yes.
Okay. And in the photos over there that were found on Colt's wall on September 4th, is Nicholas Cruz wearing a half mask in one of those photos?
I believe he is, yes.
Okay. Moving to August 27th. So now we're 8 days from the shooting. What happens on this day?
This is a day where Colt does not go to school. And then this is when Deborah Polhamus calls Advantage.
Okay. And we have introduced those records already and through Luke Pyatt and Vicki Lee. Are these the records that came from Advantage?
They are, yes.
And what time did Debbie call?
She called at 2:02 p.m.
And how do we know this is Debbie's phone number?
We were also able to get cellular records from the company, and it comes with subscriber records, so it shows who the number is subscribed to, which was Deborah Polhamus.
And y'all, the investigation did not include getting Debbie's phone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Her phone was not extracted.
We did not have a phone extraction for her, no.
Okay. And then now a little farther on August 27th, what does the defendant send Colt on this day?
This is at 4:24 p.m. He says, been trying to get in touch with y'all. Give me a call when you get this. Want to make sure everybody's okay and see how it's going for you today and make sure you're happy. I love you. Call me.
Okay. So is the defendant at work on August 27th?
He is.
And are Coley and Jenny, are they at school on August 27th?
They are.
What were their absentee dates? Was it a few?
In August, I believe Coley was only absent once, and then I believe Jenny was only absent twice.
And is Marcy still in Fitzgerald?
She is.
And then is Debbie, I guess, on her way from Fitzgerald, but she is not in Barrow County yet?
That's correct.
Okay. So on the day after Colt's anxiety attack at school, is he home alone?
He is.
Okay. All right. What else does the defendant do on the 27th?
There is another search for a gun safe.
I'm going to pull that up. And what time was that search at?
It was at 6:11 p.m.
And is that a safe that could be used for a rifle?
It is, yes.
Approximately how much did this gun safe cost?
When I looked this one up, it was around $180.
And was there any corresponding purchase for a gun safe on this date or any days between August 27th and September 4th?
There was not.
So now we're at August 28th, which is exactly 1 week before the shooting. Does Colt go to school on August 28th?
He does not.
And what's the first thing that happens of note on this day?
Colt calls the defendant.
Okay. And is this all of his phone calls?
It is from 7:31 a.m. to 7:32 a.m.
Does the defendant answer?
He does not.
Okay. And then after the defendant doesn't answer, does Colt call him?
He sends a text.
Sends him a text, yes. And what time does he send him that text?
At 7:33 a.m. And he says, dude, pick up.
After that, does Colt call the defendant again?
He does.
And does he pick up this time?
He does.
Okay. Now, after their phone conversation, do they communicate some more via text?
They do.
All right, I'm going to pull up that text message.
And this is at 7:44 a.m. And Colt sends the defendant, I have to kind of dance around the inconvenient truth at times. I have no control over what these things say and tell me to do.
Does the defendant respond to this text message?
No, he does not.
And the email that we talked about earlier from Jade Baker about giving her contact information and for the defendant to call her if he has any concerns, when did that come in comparison to this text message?
The email came approximately 10 minutes after this text message.
Okay. And again, did the defendant call her with any concerns?
No, he did not.
And what does the defendant do instead?
He texts Marcy and tells her to call him. So the text message at 7:45 says, call me.
And was that just a few minutes after Colt sent the text
It
about
was.
the inconvenient truth?
Yes.
And does Marcy call him?
She does. And they talk for 6 minutes and 42 seconds.
After that, does the defendant text Colt back?
Yes.
And what does he say?
At 9:10 a.m., he says, stand by for a call.
And does he call Colt?
He does not call Colt. Colt calls him at 9:15 a.m., so about 5 minutes later, and they talk for 8 minutes and 45 seconds.
All right. And then after that phone conversation, does the defendant then call Marcy?
He does.
And how long do they talk?
They talk for 11 minutes and 3 seconds.
And that phone call was at 9:25?
Yes,
Was that-
a.m.
Close in time to when the defendant's phone call with Colt ended.
Yes.
And after Marcy gets off the phone with the defendant, what does she start doing?
Starts texting Colt.
And what does she text them? Or what are they texting about?
So Colt is texting Marcy, and he says, there are people after me and I don't like it. My teachers, I feel as if they're plotting against me. Somehow I feel like they'll hurt me.
And this is a few minutes after Marcy and the defendant get off the phone.
Yes, I think it was about 4 minutes after Marcy and the defendant were on the phone.
And is this, and we've introduced these in through Marcy, is this the same text thread where the defendant texts Marcy and asks her if she's made contact with Memu or
Yes.
Colt? And
Yes.
she talks to him about Colt. So here is this next text message where they're talking about that. And what does Marcy respond when he asks if she made contact with?
She says, not with my Memu, but I'm texting with Colt. And she says, he told me about his teachers.
Okay. All right, so we're still on August 28th. What is the next thing that we have?
The next thing is another photo of from Colt's phone extraction.
Okay, we're going to pull that photo up and tell us what this is.
This is was found on Colt's phone, and the metadata shows that it has a capture time, so of August 28th at 1:10 p.m. And it is the pictures that were on the wall of Nicholas Cruz.
And do they appear to be the same pictures that were found on his wall on September 4th?
Yes.
And do they appear to be in the same configuration as they were on September 4th?
Yes.
All right, so we've got one more picture from Colt's phone. I'm going to bring that up. Tell us about this picture.
This picture is from Colt's phone, and is a picture of Colt with the half mask on and holding what appears to be the 6-hour rifle in his hand. And this picture would have been taken within a day because we saw the records where he had ordered the half mask.
So this would have had to have been taken on August 27th or August 28th?
That's correct.
All right, now we're up to August 29th. Tell us what happens on this day.
Colt did not go to school this day, and there are some text messages that the defendant sends to Marcy.
Okay. All right, so we're going to first start with the text that the defendant sent to Marcy. And what does he say?
He says, I wish that she would just take him back home with her for this long weekend so we can just figure out what we're doing without having to confrontation or anything.
And that was at 8:10 a.m.?
Yes.
And after this text message, does the defendant text Jan O'Brien?
He does.
And who is Jan O'Brien?
It's his sister, the defendant's sister.
Okay, I'm going to put that text up. And tell us about that.
He sends the message, morning sister, I don't know. We're having a little bit of trouble with Colt. I think he needs to be like, or you can't, or something along those lines, where he can go and get the help he needs and stay there until he does. It's been really difficult. I just wanted to give you an update.
Okay. And then the next thing that happens, tell us what happens next.
There's a text conversation between Colt and Marcy. This is at 10:27 a.m.
What does Marcy ask Colt?
She says, how do you feel today, Colty?
And how does he respond?
He says, yeah, I'm here. Sorry. It's just getting worse. Had to take another. I'll make it to school. Trust.
Okay. And hold on 1 second. Okay, and so after he essentially says things are getting worse, what does Marcy do next?
She starts searching things on the internet.
And in the time frame between when that text was and when she started searching, what was that time frame?
It was about 10 minutes.
Okay. And what does she start searching for?
The first search is 259, which is school shooter Nick.
Okay. And then we're going to bring up that next search. And what time was that at?
At 3:00 p.m. And the search is school shooter parents charged with manslaughter.
Okay. And then our third search.
It's a web history. So she visited the URL at 3:00. What James Crumbley's manslaughter conviction means for parents.
And just briefly for context, who is James Crumbley?
He is the father of Ethan Crumbley, who was a 15-year-old that shot and killed students in Oxford, Michigan.
And was James Crumbley, the father, arrested related to that case?
He was.
Okay. And so at 3:00, she visits that particular article. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay. So after she visits that article, what does she do next?
At 3:05, there is a search. Why were Ethan Crumbley parents charged?
Okay. And then we're going to bring up another search or another article that she read. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this is the web history at 3:05. What led to James and Jennifer Crumbley's guilty verdict?
And is Jennifer Crumbley Ethan's mother?
She is, yes.
And was she also arrested in connection with that case?
She was.
And then we're going to bring up the next search. And what is that?
At 3:09 p.m., she searched Safe Storage Gun Laws, Georgia.
And again, for context, what are safe storage gun laws?
It's just laws in regards to storing your firearms away from children.
And we're going to pull up her next search. Can you tell us about this?
This is a web history where the title is Secure Storage or Child Access Prevention Required, Everytown Research and Policy.
And we're going to bring up one more. Okay, and what did is this another website she visited?
This is a cookie that we talked about earlier. It's giffords.org at 3:13 p.m. And this is, I guess, like a group of activists that are trying to promote gun safety.
Okay, and so a few minutes essentially after Colt texts her and says he's worse, she starts searching for Ethan Crumbley. Does she talk to the defendant close in time to her searches?
She does.
Okay, and we're going to bring up that phone log. Okay, tell us about how long after that last search and how long their conversation was.
It was approximately 30 minutes after the searches at 3:55 p.m. And they talked for 14 minutes and 11 seconds.
What time do they get off the phone?
Around 4:10 p.m. to 4:11 p.m.
Okay. And essentially, as soon as Marcy gets off the phone at 4:11, what does she do?
She goes back to a website, what led to James and Jennifer Crumbley's guilty verdict.
And was that a website that she had previously visited?
It was, yes.
All right. And then after this website visit, does Marcy talk to the defendant again?
She does.
Okay. And we're going to bring up that. Is this kind of the timeline extraction we were talking about where it has Marcy's phone calls, but also her search history?
Yes. So from the same day. Yes.
So it looks like around 8 minutes after she accessed what led to James and Jennifer Crumbley's verdict, she spoke with the defendant?
Yes. And then there's an 8-minute call, a 1-minute call, a 4-minute call, a 5-minute call, a 1-minute call, and then some more web history visits after that.
And are those web history visits also related to why Ethan Crumbley's parents were charged?
Yes. And then the last one was mental.
True crime just got darker. Catch the full episode on the link above. Subscribe to At Southern Sin today and hit the notification bell for more live original episodes Wednesdays at 8 p.m.